My tomorrow may never be mine. So help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. Way down in the state of Georgia, through the swamps and the Everglades, there's a big old hole in Tiger Mountain. God help the man who gets lost in Miller's Cave. I had me a girl in Waycross, Georgia, but she had unfaithful ways. She made me feel I was unwanted, like the bats and the bears in Miller's Cave. I couldn't stand the way she did me, couldn't take her low down way. Before I'll stay with a cheating woman, I'll go and live with the bears in Miller's Cave. Order out Sunday morning with some guy they call Big Day, the meanest man in Waycross, Georgia. I'd rather fight a mountain lion in Miller's Cave. I said you'll pay, both you and Davy. I'm gonna see you're in your grave. They laughed at me, and then I shot 'em. I took their cheating, scheming bones to Miller's Cave. That woman made me feel unwanted, but I guess I showed her I was brave. The most wanted man in the state of Georgia, but they're never gonna find me 'cause I'm lost in Miller's Cave. Years I've been looking for a place to call home, but I failed here to find it, so I must travel on. I don't care for fine mansions on earth sinking sand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of glory land. Yes, build me just a cabin in the corner of glory land, in the shade of the tree of life that it may ever stand, where I can just hear the angels sing and shake Jesus' hand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of glory land. Blessed Lord, I'm not asking to live in the corner of Glory Land. Yes, build me just a cabin in the corner of Glory Land, in the shade of the tree of life that it may ever stand, where I can just hear the angels sing and shake Jesus' hand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land. How many dear loved ones who've gone on their way, on that great final morning shall I hear them say, come and join in our singing and playing our band. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land. Yes, build me just a cabin in the corner of Glory Land, in the shade of the tree of life that it may ever stand, where I can just hear the angels sing and shake Jesus' hand. Lord, build me a cabin in the corner of Glory Land.
On the bank of the river stood running bear, young Indian brave. On the other side of the river stood his lovely Indian maid. Little white dove was of her name, such a lovely sight to see. But their tribes fought with each other, so their love could never be. Running bear, love little white dove, with a love big as the sky. Running bear, love little white dove, with a love that couldn't die. He couldn't swim the raging river, 'cause the river was too wide. He couldn't reach little white dove waiting on the other side. In the moonlight he could see her throwing kisses across the waves. Her little heart was beating faster, waiting there for her brave. A running bear, love little white dove, with a love big as the sky. Running bear, love little white dove, with a love that couldn't die. Running bear dove in the water, little white dove did the same, and they swam out to each other. Through the swirling stream they came, as their hand touched and their lips met, the raging river pulled them down. Now they'll always be together in that happy hunting ground. Running bear, love little white dove, with a love big as the sky. Running bear, love little white dove, with a love that couldn't die.
Thanks very much for that entertainment, Trev. So, thanks everybody for coming along today for Cushy's memorial. Garry Wayne, Cushy, that's his full name, Summers, his memorial. Everybody in Burnie knew him. It's not surprising that people are still waiting outside as well and can't get in, but if you can move forward a little bit more if you like, it might help some of the people there that can hear everything. So it's just all straightforward. We're going through a few things and read a few funny stories, things like that, and that'll go on, and we'll let you know what's happening later on. So hopefully I don't talk too much, and I hope I don't get muddled up too much. So we're just making sure that a lot of our family are in Deniliquin, and they're sitting up somewhere up there listening, or not listening, watching this on the live screen, as well as quite a few other people. So we'll start off with Cushie's parents, Stanley Gordon Summers and Vera Honor Jane Summers. They're both deceased, and Cushie was born in the old Darwin Hospital. Now, the young people probably wouldn't know the old Darwin Hospital, because I was born there as well, and always say I was born in the Darwin Hospital. So I think he was born in Darwin, but that was around in Alexander Street. So he was born on the 22nd of February 1945 and passed away on the 4th of May 2025. He was the seventh born child. Cushie was one of 11 children. Now I'm going to read their names out and just go through that. They were Betty, deceased; Gordon, deceased; Jimmy, deceased; Brian, deceased; Sylvie, deceased; Ali, deceased; and Cushie, deceased. Lorraine, Pauline, Christine and Trevor. So the four that are still left. Now, Garry went to the Montello State School when he did go to school, which wasn't very often apparently, and he moved on to Parkins High School after that. He got married with Carol Miller on the 7th of 3rd, 1964 at St Stephen's Church, Penguin, and together they welcomed 3 children, Lynette, Karen and Joanne. Now, I've got their ages there, but I'm not going to read that out. Plus his grandchildren, and I'll read that, Talia Ann, Scott, Mitch, Sam, Dyson and Talia. Taylor. Yeah, I got it right. Great-grandchildren. Taran, is it? Taran? Savannah, Noah. I've got a Noah too. Charlotte, Arthur, Leo and Layla, who Cushie was very proud of. We'll go back to his working life where he started. His first job was working for Jack Brown Plumbing. And after a few years there, he went on to work for Newman's Plumbing, which I'm not sure, I think they're still going at the moment, until he began operating his own business. And he moved into partnership with Cole and Summers, with Wayne Cole, Acker, Fury in 1973. That was obviously his company's name, so they could save on tax, I presume. This later became GW and CA Summers Plumbing, which was Cushie and Carol. So he sort of went out for himself, worked for himself, which they were in business until he discovered horses and the racing community. Now, we don't have to say too much about that, but that'll all come up later on. Now, I'm going to read this out from the girls that passed this on to me. It goes on for about 2 or 3 minutes, not long. And so, where are we? This, I've got to make sure I've got it right. So when he moved on to training horses, this was the happiest part of his life. The time that he had, the connections with his beloved, obviously Prince Nigel, which is one of the best horses that Tasmania has supplied. In particular, brought him so much joy, memorable experience and wins. And I'm not sure how many wins, but I just had something in mind. It was around 34 or something like that. Scurry may know exactly what it was, but it was a lot of wins from that horse. The people he met and mates he made along the journey, and those remained extremely important to him. Okay, so we're just going to read a few things out which a lot of people don't know, and more so the younger ones. Cushie loved to play snooker or 8-ball, whatever you like to call it. He used to play that. And what a lot of people don't know, that he actually beat Eddie Charlton in Launceston. Now, Eddie Charlton was the world champion then in snooker player, and Cushy actually beat him in one game, which was you know, a feather in his cap. We'll go on to Newman's Plumbing, where he was a backhoe operator and was reportedly to be one of the best in Tasmania as an operator of the backhoe. And he was used to work 7 days a week for Newman, and I can remember him every day. He'd have a party Friday night, he'd go to work Saturday. He'd have a party Saturday night, he'd go to work Sunday. And again, there's something that even his family may not know. He owed Newman's 4 years of his annual leave. So he's 4 years in advance that he withdrew the money that he used to take to go down to the bookie shop. And when he actually finished, he actually owed Newman's 2 weeks' pay. So he paid some of it back, but yeah, it was unbelievable at that. Later on, when he was training the horses, he decided that somebody said, oh, I'll go to Social Security, which is Centrelink now, obviously. So he used to go to Social Security, and apparently back in those days, you had to front up every fortnight. And you had to tell them what you wanted to do in job or what sort of job you'd like. So he fronts up the first fortnight and goes in there, and they said, oh, what would you like to do, Mr. Summers? He said, I want to be a lion tamer. Oh, okay, so they write it down. And this went on for about 3 months. Every time he came in, he said, I want to be a lion tamer. Because he thought up here, well, there's no lions around here, so I don't have to look for a job. So anyway, the guy, he come in, this next time he come in and he put the form over and he said, Mr. Summers, what would you like to do in your work? He said, well, lion tamer. He said, oh, right. He said, oh, yeah, I can see you've been putting that down every time you come in. He said, well, the circus is on out of Somerset, so I'll arrange for the ringmaster. You can have an interview with him. He said, oh, no, I'll stick to plumbing. I'll look for a plumbing job. So, in the process of that, and he had himself a boat, and if you knew, of course, he had a boat, it was about 21 foot long, and I was lucky to fit in the drive when he was living in Van Diemen's Crescent, and he used to sit in that. Didn't go out very often, but he used to sit in that. But he did take it down to, he bought a shack or done a deal with a shack down at Greens Beach, which is Beauty Point if you don't know where that is, and spent many a night down there, sitting in the boat. I went out now and again, but not very often. But that's where his captain come, Captain Cush, because I am the captain of the boat. You'll do as I'm told. You know, try to teach everybody to water ski, including me. And after a couple of days, we did learn how to water ski. The other one was, Pauline and I went up to see him one day. He said, come up and we'll have a beer. And we'll go out in the shed and have a beer. And he said, just before we go, he said, I've got to wash the dog, Sandy, he had out there. I said, oh, right, yeah, well, that'll take you a few minutes to do that. So we sort of washed him, Paul and I washed him. He got the dog, come out the front, turned the tap on, put the dog under, rubbed his back and said, righto, off you go, and told Carol I've washed the dog. Because he put a lot of time in the Menai Hotel Social Club, so they used to raise funds and for charity and for themselves and whatnot, and he used to put a lot of time in there. And then he moved down to Greens Hotel when Hoot was down there, and used to drink a lot of beer down there as well. And as most of those guys up the back would know, he did drink a lot of beer. And I was talking there one day, and Hoot and Philip Purton said, unfortunately those two have passed, they said, oh, we're going up for golf in a couple of days. Oh, right. I wouldn't mind playing it. Oh, you're no good at golf. He said, oh, yeah. I said, I'd be all right. He said, I'll tell you what. I'll bet you $100 that I can beat you. That's each, that was, Hoot and Philip. And they said, oh, nah, we'll bet you $100 and we'll give you 10 shots for 4 holes. So they give him extra 10 shots that he could have for 4 holes. But he said, I won't be available for about 2.5, 3 weeks. Of course, he said. So they made the date, set it all up. And so anyway, they went up there and met up there and played the golf. And guess what? Cushy came home and beat him by 2 shots. He said, how did you learn how to play? He said, well, that's why I put it off 3 weeks. I went up there every day practicing. So I got you. So, the other one is that I've got written down here, Pauline, which is my wife, Polly, or Pol as he called her. She's unfortunately unwell and couldn't make it. But he took her out when she was 16, just before I met her, and took her to a cabaret. You young guys, cabaret, that's a disco, back in our day. And he said to her, do you want a drink? She said, no, I don't drink. You know that, Cush. Pole, I'll buy you a drink. Now this Blue Heaven, I'll buy you a Blue Heaven. You'll love the drink. So he goes up and buys it and gives it down to Pole, and she had a mouthful and she goes, ugh. Made sure he wasn't looked. She didn't like it. And anyway, he went up to have a dance. Pauline went up the bar and bought a bottle of lemonade. And she was tipping it out on the floor and put a bit of lemonade in it because she thought she was drinking it. And, he said in the end, what's that bottle of lemonade doing there? I said, oh, that's what I put in the drink. He said, I hated it. And ever since that day, now I've been married 55 years tomorrow to her, ever since that day she's never drank alcohol in her life. I think it's one of 2 of the 11. So that was a good thing. Parties, we all know that because she loved a party. Loved to sing along, tell jokes, have a beer, get hungry at 10 o'clock, and Jeff Cannell would remember this, that at 10 o'clock the old fish shops used to be open, and Cush used to ring the fish shop up, put an order in, ring George Huxley, the taxi driver, you'd all know George, and pick it up and bring it up, and then Cushy'd pay him when he come up there. So that happened for years and years. There was no cooking or anything like that, it was all got from the fishing shop, fish and chip shop. And obviously the weddings, he was always the life of the weddings and engagement parties and all that. The last one that we had was up at Karen and Greg's place, Garry's place, sorry, and he put a real show on. He sang, that was his 70th, so he just turned 80. That was his 70th party, and again, that went all night, and we had people from all over Australia that come along to that. And it was a very good night. It was the last night that we really enjoyed going out with him. And unfortunately, his health deteriorated from then on. And then the last couple of years, it sort of got worse. So later on, we're going to have, from the Trotting Club, Justin's going to talk about the Trotting Club. But I've got a few things to read out, and a couple of other people, his brothers and sisters, have got a few things to read. And the first one I'm going to read is from the girls, the 3 girls, and so we'll go with that. Of the many memories the girls have of their dad, what stands out the most is how many people knew who they were because they were Cushy's daughters, and that's correct. Everybody knew him in Burnie, so they knew who the daughters were. There wasn't a bus driver, a tradie, a publican, a teacher. I suppose you had to go and see because they played up probably. A snooker player, a TAB occupant, a corner store owner, a sporting person, a copper, or the parents of their friends who didn't know who Cushy was. They couldn't get away with much. Cushy would always find out. Most of the people around Cushy were only known to the girls by their various nicknames. Cushy himself, very rarely known by his own name of Garry, with a double R. Within the community, all his mates, there was Fury, there was Wallaby, there was Nuts, Hooter, Screwy, Purdy, Buzzard, Trotter, Snow, Bubbles, Bowie, Khaki, Duck, Ferret, Andy, Pandy, the Doctor, and so many more. characters infused into Cushy and their lives. And as you know, he had a name for everybody. I was a big bastard, but, you know, he had a name for everybody. His personality and charisma and humour always stood out, as did his wheeling and dealing. We all know about that. Roping in the fellas for a certain trifecta win, grabbing a quick scribbly off Bowie, catching some whitebait, and his brother, I think, was that, and Wayne Cole would have been into that as well, with Fury. Legally, of course, I don't think they got any Fury, and Trevor used to take, when they got caught 2 or 3 times, Trevor was the man. He was the one that his name went in the book. So, enticing a share in a horse or buying and selling 3 cars in one day. And I remember that, he sold 3 cars in one day. He done well. Memories of the grand final days with family and friends, shack days at Beauty Point, and New Year's Eve parties which went all night straight out to Burnie Sports afterwards. And remembered fondly, and his 6 grandchildren will always remember what they had been programmed to answer when he asked them, "What do you say?" "I love Poppy Kush." And that's what he used to say to them all the time, "I love Poppy Kush." And I think sometimes he used to say to that when he'd had a few beers too, to us. So what we're going to do now is have a couple, want to say, Trevor's got something to say. Just mind that if he doesn't get through it, I'll finish it off as best I can. And Lane, he's got something. I've got one here from Talia Ann, who couldn't make it today. Unfortunately, she lives in South Australia and couldn't make it, so they made it a little bit small, but I think I'll be able to get that out in a minute. And so if Trevor would like to do his now.
You want that? You just let it fall off. Probably fall off. Forgive me for shaking. I've never ever done this before. And I'll never do it again. So anyway, to you that don't know me, I'm Cushy's baby brother Trevor. Forgive me if I don't get through this, but I will give it a go. So here goes. John mentioned our family in Denny. They send their condolences and love to everyone, especially Carol and the kids and the grandkids. His girls, his grandkids, and let's not forget Margaret. So Garry Wayne, Cushy, you touch so many people in your life. With your humour and personality, I reckon most people in this room have some sort of memory of you. When I was younger, I was a bit of a rebel. And I remember you saying to Mum, "Mum, I'll take him around home for a couple of months and I'll straighten him out." So that come about. And Mum said to him, "Garry, you can, but as long as you don't smack him or hit him." And I said, "Mum, I agree with that." So anyway, off we goes and we jump in the car, and the first thing Cushy said to me is, "Put a foot wrong, I'm going to kick you up the fucking arse, or you're going to get a belt up here." So that was all right. So anyway, so I went round there for a couple of months. So I used to jump out the window at home a lot and go and meet our mates. Desi Kemp and Robbie Bruce, Peter Valentine, all those guys I used to knock around with. So I'd do that 3 or 4 nights a week at home. So anyway, after a while, we used to call in and see Mum. And Mum would say to Cushy, "Garry, how's Trevor going?" And he'd say, "Yep, no good. All right, I've got him on the straight and narrow, his mates." He said, "I've banned him from them." And anyway, later on, I told Cush, I said, "Cush, you did get me on the straight and narrow, because when I was living with you, I was only jumping out the window twice a week instead of 5. And some of the girls knew that too. But anyway, where am I?
Yep, there.
Up there. He gave me his first job for him and Coley. I remember clearly the day that he said to Coley, "I'm leaving Trevor here today and he can mow the lawns." And I'm thinking, "Oh, that's all right. That's a good job for the day." So him and Coley took off somewhere, didn't need me. So I made the lawns. About an hour later, I'm sitting down. That afternoon, I heard him come up the driveway, so I shot out the back door, out the back, and he jumped out of his car and he said, I thought I asked you to mow the lawns. Well, I said, well, I did. He said, it doesn't look like it. Oh, I said, why not? He said, the rocks and the clumps of grass and the bottles and all that, he was digging a hole to put in a swimming pool. So he had rocks and bottles and beer bottles and all that laying all over the place. So I got the mower, and as I'm mowing, around the rocks, around the beer bottles, he comes in, he said, you little prick. He said, you haven't done it all. I said, I have. And then he said to me, he said, what about all the bottles and the beer and the rocks and all that? I said, well, Cush, you're paying me $20 a week, taking $1 tax. What do you expect me to do? I'm going to pick the rocks and beer bottles up. So anyway, he gave me a clip up here, and that was that. So then, later on in life, I went off and done my own thing after he got me straight and narrow. And yeah, I went off and done my own thing with me mates and all that. Then he started to get into the horses, and I was interested then with the horses. So I used to go and help him do the horses and all that. And by the way, I was back doing a bit of work for him too then. And our routine was come out, do the horses, work them, feed them, wash them down, clean their stables, and off we'd go and do a couple of hours work in plumbing. And we'd go to the pub down the Burnie Hotel, and we would have a couple of beers and then come back out in the afternoon and bed them down and feed them and all that, and away we'd go and go back to the pub and get home 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Anyway, on this occasion, we was driving in from here one day, because down here we trained the horses, and we was in Coley's blue van, and we're driving along the highway, and there's 2 or 3 cop cars driving along the highway. And we're thinking, oh, nothing of it, they're after someone, we said. And that was okay, off we went, and we done a bit of work, and we later found out that the cop cars, one come in South Burnie Gate, one come in this gate, one come in the gate over the railway line, and I was after one Trevor Summers. Well, okay, because as Cushy said, I didn't pay me fines and I was after me. Up to that time, I managed to evade them for about 2 months. So anyway, we done the horses and all that, done our usual. We goes into the Burnie Hotel, and at that time, the police station was right next door in the old Central Hotel. So we walks in and Cushy buys a beer, and I take one mouthful, and he said, look, he said, you've got to go next door, he said, and ask him, just for more time. You'll be right, you'll only be over there 10 minutes. And I said, well, will you come with me? He said, no, he said, if you want a lawyer, tell him Perry Mason's next door. And that was Cushy. So, okay, that was fine. So anyway, I had a mouthful of beer and off I went. I thought, oh, bugger it, I've got to get it out of the way, so I went in next door. And I said, the bloke I didn't know the copper on the desk, which is quite unusual, so I knew most of them. But anyway, he said, your name? I said, Trevor Summers. Apparently you're after me for not paying fines. He looked, he said, oh, yeah, we are. He said, just wait there a minute, young fella. So I waited there. Next minute was Barber. And where's John? Who was the one you punched in the football? What was his name, the detective? Well, I'll remember it in a minute. He was a detective. He was a good player for Cooey. And the big fella here was playing, I think it was Wynyard, and he poked his chin out to John. And in the end, well, he didn't play the second half, so I can't think of his name. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So anyway, I goes in there. I'm Trevor Summers, I'm here. Can you give me time to pay? Sit there, no worries. Next minute, a couple of coppers come out and walk me up, lock me up. And anyway, about 5 hours later, I gets out and I went back into the Burnie Hotel because he had been out and done the horses at this time in the afternoon. He said, where have you been? I said, well, you told me to go in there. You told me I'm only going to be 10 minutes. They locked me up for 4 hours. And I said, and you call yourself Perry Mason? And anyway, the story went on. A few of the guys from the Trotting Club back then, I reckon Screwy and Snowy Belbin and all them old blokes up there, they would have been around. So anyway, in saying all that, I know people may be and will think, and I've seen the girls put a thing in there about thanking Yarrandoo and all that. Well, I didn't see him very often. So in saying that, I would like to thank Yarrandoo personally for the care given and the change I've seen in Cushy from the time to time when I did see him when I come home. And over the last few months especially, he spent there. And I'd like to thank my sister Lainey, her friends Joy and Sally, and Cushy's daughter Karen for digging their heels in and making it what it is today. Because the last time I walked in there, and it's no word of a lie, I was walking down there saying to Sue, this is not a nursing home, this is a fucking hotel. You know, and all these people are walking around and there's about 10 different staff on there and all saying happy and good day. But anyway, they made a big, big, big difference to that nursing home, and I'm thankful for that. So Cushy, you're my brother, my guidance officer, my teacher in life, my lawyer, but most of all, you're my best mate. Until we meet again, bruv, in the next life, I can guarantee you, I will see Perry Mason himself. Thanks for that.
Thanks for that, Trevor, except some of them four-letter words. Lainey, would you like to do yours now?
Jesus is hard. But, a lot of you didn't know Christine had a diary. And I had to go to Christine and get all the information I possibly could to change Yarrandoo. And did she has, we'd done hours and hours of reading. But Garry Wayne, your battle is over. You're with your band of angels and memories are golden. And here's just a few. There was a big rush between Ali and you to get to the bathroom on Friday nights. Ali thinking he was Elvis, you being Errol Flynn. When you came out, King Cushy, I would always say to Paul, he would always say to Paul, I think he overdone the Brill cream. Have a look at the photo up here in his box and the Brill cream. Thinking you was Jack Brabham. No wonder you had so many speeding tickets. Could have wallpapered 90 Bird Street with them all. Playing cowboys and Indians. You tied Ali up. Ali tied you up and gave you a few hits in the belly and everywhere else. He rolled you over off the bed, still tied up. And poor Mum come home and found you. And because Ali had done a runner, you got him back. You put potatoes in the spud gun. In the spud gun. Sally, you can't... What? Wasn't a spud gun. Ali's got a few stings. You let them out of the cage. They never went far, bruv. They soon come back. To Gina Timms. Thank you for giving Cushy his very own serenade. The look of joy on his face when you and your mum walked in, it was priceless. I don't know who's that. Oh, that's got mixed up.
Oh.
That's been mixed up.
That's what?
That's mixed up. Shouldn't be.
Oh, I don't know.
To Yarrandoo, facility manager, clinical care, carer staff and residents. Thank you for the love and care of Cushy. Nothing was ever too much. Greatly appreciated. It was great outcome. Some of you said, love you, King Cush. I can just hear him saying, they all love King Cushy. Cushy adored you all and especially loved his Pico chocolate. I will visit Yarrandoo. Knowing your presence will always be there. Sally said, guess what? dementia sucks. Your battle's now over, Garry Wayne. I will love and miss you always, Wayne.
I'll just read that other little one out. It was, very sorry, Garry, for leaving your side. We met him when we come to Tassie, a lovely family man. He showed us respect and kind heart. Debbie, George and family, which is Jimmy's, his brother's family, which live up in Queensland, I think. So love to all, thinking of you, reunited with Stephen, which is their brother who passed. Again, Sharon Dennis. Love you, Uncle Cushy, still your favourite. Now, just a couple of words from Pole, as he used to call Pole, just said that she's going to miss these parties that we have, the singing, the jokes that used to be told, and the drinking contest that Cushy and I used to have. Every time we'd have a party, we'd have a drinking contest. And I think I won one of them. And I'm a big bloke and I can drink a lot of beer, but he can certainly drink more. But Polly would like to thank him for all that, and she enjoyed life when he was there. Now we've got one from Talianne, who, as I said before, is from Adelaide and unfortunately couldn't make it. Pop, you love to tell stories. They would always start with, back when Pop was a little fella, a long time ago. There are so many stories I could share, but we would be here for days. The things I will never forget, your whiskers. You would pick me up, give me a hug and rub your whiskers all over my face. And before you would put me back down, you would say, oh, you forgot one thing, and that was, I love Pop. That was the last thing said every time. I remember the sleepovers at the house in Blackwood Parade, sitting with you of a morning while you read the horse racing guide, which was his Bible, looking serious as you flicked the pages back and forth, circling the ones you liked the odds of. By the time you were finished, your fingers were black with ink and the racing guide had been folded so many times that you could put it in the chest pocket of your shirt. You would always have the guide in your chest pocket. The best times were Christmas Eve at Pop's. You were always still getting ready when we got there, but Coral always had the food ready. We would unwrap presents, and then all the kids would go out to the garden and sit on the steps and yell out at the top of their voice, magic fountain. And just like that magic, the water feature in the pond would come on. All of us kids would stare at it. It would go off and we would scream, magic mountain, over and over. Now, come to think of it, we must have sounded crazy to the neighbours. It didn't take me long to clue onto what was happening. It was Pop flicking the switch on and off button from the shed, absolutely cacking himself, watching his grandchildren yelling at a water feature, good times. Although I will never get to feel another giant hug with Whiskers Rash or listen to the next chapter of Back When Pop Was a Little Fella, I will always remember our stories. Rest easy, Pop, Poppy Cushy, I love Pop. Very good. Now we've got Gina coming up. Thumb's a bit late, but one doesn't matter. We will watch some photos, Cushy's life, accompanied by some of his favourite songs. And I think you're going to sing Danny Boy, is it correct? And then Gina's got a couple of little stories to say or talk about. So if you want to sit back and listen, and Cushy won't charge you for this, by the way.
Thank you, John. I was 9 years old when I have the strongest memory of Cushy Summers, and I had just been invited by Gordon Buchanan to sing live at the Menai. My mum had said to Gordon, who was our neighbour, I don't think she can sing, but anyway, I went and sang. And I was then invited by the farmer that was at the Menai that day to come and do a gig at his barn. and Gordon's band was up there, and there were a lot of artists including Cushy and the Cole brothers, Brian and Wayne. I was 9 years old and very innocent, and these men sang a really naughty version of Old King Cole. And when each time it was Cushy's time to sing, it wasn't meant to be like a Hitler symbol, but he would just be like, "Oh, King Cole," like, probably 10 beers in, and singing all these naughty words. So after that, Mum had grown up with all the Summers family, and Cushy would turn up at my gigs, and he turned up one night, probably 6 beers in at the Bayview Hotel bar. Duck Donahue and Danny Murphy had started a fight with some boys on their bikes from Lonnie, and I was singing. And Cushy's just sitting there at the bar with his beer. Look, don't spill the beer. And the boys had come close to the beer, and he put his fist at it, didn't hit anyone. So then he decided he would stop the fight by grabbing my microphone and singing Danny Boy. I said, "What do you think that's going to achieve?" He said, "Those mongrels out there are going to stop fighting when they hear me sing, mate." And he said, "They wrote this song about me." I said, "How?" He said, "Because it's got Summers in it. And that's all you need to know." And so whenever I was close by or Cushy was at a gig, always loved his dancing. He was one of the most amazing dancers, and the looks on those girls' faces when he asked them to dance was priceless. But this is for you, Cushy. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the flowers died. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come thee back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But when he comes and all the roses folding, and I am dead, as dead I may well be. Go out and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me, and I will hear how soft you tread above me.
again.
Now we've got Justin Maguire coming up now to speak and share with us about Cushy's time in the racing industry. I think Justin's there, he's really keen to get up here. I know he'd have a few stories. Oh, sorry.
I found him by the railroad track this morning. I could see that he was nearly dead. I knelt down beside him just to hear the words the dying fella said. He said they let me out of prison out in Frisco. For 10 long years I paid for what I'd done. I was trying to get back to Louisiana to see my Rose and get to know my son. Give my love to Rose, please won't you, mister? Take her all my money, tell her buy some pretty clothes. Tell my boy that daddy's so proud of him. And don't forget to give my love to Rose. Won't you tell him I said thanks for waiting for me. Tell my boy to help his mom at home. Tell my Rose to try to find another, 'cause it ain't right that she should live alone. Mister, here's the bag with all my money. It won't last them long the way it goes. God bless you for finding me this morning. Now don't forget to give my love to Rose. Give my love to Rose, please won't you, mister? Take her all my money, tell her buy some pretty clothes. Tell my boy that daddy's so proud of him. And don't forget to give my love to
Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Last Saturday night I got married. Me and my love settled down. Now me and my love are parted. I'm gonna take another stroll downtown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Sometimes I live in the country, sometimes I live in town. Sometimes I have a great notion to jump into the river and drown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Rambling, stop your gambling. Stop staying out late at night. Go home to your wife and your family. Sit down by the fireside bright. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams.
I fell into a burning ring of fire, went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire, went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. Take it. I fell into a burning ring of fire, went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. The taste of love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. I fell for you like a child, oh, but the fire went wild. I fell into a burning ring of fire, went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
Forever and ever, my heart will be true. Sweetheart, forever I'll wait for you. We both made a promise that we'd never part. Let's seal it with a kiss forever, my sweetheart. Let bygones be bygones forever. We'll fall in love once again. So let's tell the world of our new love divine. Forever and ever you'll be mine. Forever and ever my heart will be true. Sweetheart, forever I'll wait for you. We both made a promise that we'd never part. Let's seal it with a kiss forever, my sweetheart. Bygones be bygones forever. We'll fall in love once again. So let's tell the world of our new love divine. Forever and ever you'll be mine. We both made a promise that we'd never part. Let's seal it with a kiss forever, my sweetheart. Bygones be bygones forever.
Yeah, it's working. Just that presentation then from the girls, absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Okay, now we've got it right. Justin, your turn.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here and hear all the tributes to our wonderful friend, Cushy. He was a jokester and a prankster, but I don't think he ever played one on me, but I did play one on him. And it was at our annual dinner. I presented him with a surprise award, nicely wrapped and received by Cushy and Carol, and I can still see them unwrapping it. And I won't say what was in it. But that was the only time I got him, and I don't remember him getting me. But anyhow, on behalf of the Harness Racing Club, I'd like to welcome you all here today and to honour and pay tribute to our good friend and colleague, Cushy. And before I go, on behalf of the club, our sincere sympathy to Cushy's daughters, Karen, Lynette and Joe and sisters and brother Trevor and all the extended family. Our sympathies to all. I first met Cushy when he came to Burnie to train horses on the track here. He rented stables down below, and I think he brought 2 horses here from memory. But anyhow, what he'd previously been with Kimmy Devlin at Latrobe, training horses, and like a lot of us from down this way, we had horses trained up there at Kim's, and until we went out on our own, more or less. David Rawlings had a horse up there, Templars had a horse, various ones from down the coast here had horses with Kim. He was a leading trainer and driver for many years in the early 70s. He used to drive at Devonport in the day and fly to Melbourne at night to drive at the old showgrounds in Moonee Valley. So I first met Kush, as I said, when he arrived here to train horses at our stables, and he eventually joined the committee, and Carol was secretary for many years, and we had a good relationship there, and we enjoyed Cushy's company for many, many years on the committee and training horses on the track. While he was at Devlin's, I believe he bought a filly, and that was one of the horses he brought here with another horse called Dugola's Image, from memory. It might have been Holly Lee too. But Holly Lee was his first winner as an owner, I believe, and that was trained by Devlin at Latrobe. It was no mean feat to train horses at the showground here with just the stabling complex. Most trainers had acreage to run their horses on, but there was the stables were full up here at the time, and some of the people there were Neil Clements, even Cushy Rawlings was training there for a start. Where are you, Cush? Not Cushy, Screwy Rawlings. Screwy Rawlings, I'm getting him mixed up. Several. It was very hard to get a spare stable down there those days. Harness racing was booming in the 70s on the coast here. Lots of trainers around this district. I know there was about 7 or 8 trainers at Wynyard. They were the really glory days of harness racing on the coast here in the 70s, and Cush was part of that in the late 70s when he came here. So, as I said, he came here, and with one of the fillies he came with was one he bought from Kim Devlin, and I think that was one that went on to be named Queen Vera. Now, Cushy trained Queen Vera. I think, from memory, he only had 1 win with her, but now that doesn't matter. And he was a self-taught trainer. He picked up the clues off other trainers down around the stables, and great help from Normie Elphinston. Is Norm here today? No. And Trevor. And Cush had he had some weird training methods, but they worked. He used to swim horses and with a cart on, and he strapped a 44-gallon drum to it, so as it'd float better, apparently. But Kim Cushy had some strange ways, but they worked. Now his horses, in the early stage, they didn't win a lot, but probably, and but they were always placed, or mostly placed. So with this training success, Cush decided to take out a driver's licence. So he eventually drove in races. I'm not so sure how many he won, but it wouldn't have been a lot. I think it was 1 race, wasn't it? But anyhow, so as time went on, the first winner he had was Dugola's Image, and the next winner was Queen Vera. I think so eventually he retired Queen Vera, and he decided he'd breed from her. So there was a stallion standing up at Screwy Rawlings' place at Stowport, so he negotiated a great deal there with Screwy. Pretty hard man to deal with. But he negotiated a very costly deal, $50 for the service fee. Well, you know, everything was fairly reasonable those days. You could buy a bag of chaff for $5. Training fees were only about $40 a week those days, if anyone remembers that. Anyhow, so this horse, the stallion used was King Kellenny, and Screwy had raced him on the track here at Burnie and various other tracks with success, and so he retired him to stud and started to serve mares. And I think at that stage, when Cushy negotiated the service fee, King Kellenny just had foals on the ground. So there was no no winners produced by King Kellenny at that stage anyhow, you know, so it was unknown, it was unknown quantity. So, anyhow, the resultant foal from that mating was Prince Nijo, the colt. So eventually Screwy got Prince Nijo to the races, and I think Kevin Nielsen drove. Is Kevin here today? No. I think Kevin Nielsen drove the first win with Prince Nijo on this track, I think, too, wasn't it? Yeah. So Prince Nijo went on to win what I saw in the records, 26 races, or maybe 27. There's two figures quoted. But anyhow, he was a dash good horse to Cushy, and he was raced by Snow Merritt, matter of fact, and Cushy trained him. They won many, many races as 2- and 3-year-olds in Tasmania. They were considered, at the time, the best of their age in those years. Prince Nijo went on as a 2-year-old to beat the top 2-year-old in the state, and a horse called Another Shy, and won a lot of other feature races, and the same with the 3-year-old. So he was considered by the scribes to be the best 2- and 3-year-old in the state at the time. So this led to a crack at the Victorian Derby. So the owners and trainer, Cush, decided to send the horse to the Knight stable in Kilmore. Bob and Vin Knight were the top guns over there at the time, and so they sent it over there with the idea of running in the Victorian Derby. So Prince Nijo won the first heat of the Derby, and I'm not sure whether it was in between, he ran at Bendigo and set a track record there, and I think he won another race somewhere. Then in the final of the Derby, I think he led, but he over-raced a little bit, so they said, and he ended up running 4th. But in any case, he qualified then for the Australian Derby. He was one of the last to get a spot in the Derby, and but he did qualify to run in the Australian 3-year-old Derby. But unfortunately, he went sore and had to be scratched at the last minute. So the horse came home. Might say to break 2 minutes for the mile rate those days was pretty extraordinary, and Prince Nijo broke it on a number of times in Victoria and Tasmania. So the horse, well, I will say he was a bit of a handful, this horse, wasn't he, Trevor? He had Cushy bluffed at times, and I remember going into the paddock with him once up the back of Burnie. Me and Kush said, now, we've got to take a waddy with us or something. But he was dangerous. He'd have you. But I remember while he was at Knights, it was the only horse they had a big notice on his stable door. Don't touch this horse or to go near him, he bites. So anyhow, so he came back from Victoria and he came back injured, but Cushy in his, you know, his perseverance, he got him right again. And he thought when he came back from Victoria, he'd stand him at stud. But he persevered with him and got him right, and he raced him again in Tasmania with a fair amount of success too. So then he thought he'd send him back to the mainland, and he sent him up to Michael Ilsley in Sydney to race, but he never had much luck up there, and I think he went sore again and he came home. And I think Cushy tried to persevere with him to get him fit again, but I think he gave up in the finish, and he stood him at stud. So that was the end. End of Prince Nijo. I'll see what my notes say here. Matter of fact, the judgment to breed Queen Vera to King Kellenny proved a good move, because King Kellenny produced an Dominion winner in Thorate for David Rawlings and Anne Rawlings. So it was a good move for Cushy to breed there, but unfortunately King Kellenny never lived long enough to prove himself further. He died very young. Okay. As I say, in racing you have many ups and downs, and Cushy would have experienced lots of them. But it was always tomorrow, and Cushy never let the sun shine on his sorrow. He always bounced back, always the cheerful old fellow the next day. He's mostly described by racing scribes in the papers as the jovial, fun-loving and serial prankster. And that's the way we like to remember him, I think, you know. So rest in peace, Cush. I think, have you got an announcement?
Just got a couple of things to follow up. The Phaneema now are going to go ahead and go out there where Cushy's last, what he wanted was his ashes spread around and his last lap around or two maybe, depends how fast the horse is going, but around the track. And I think grandkids are going to carry the ashes out, and while that's, and obviously Craig Hayes is the man that's going to be out on the track there to take them round, and while that's on, Gina is going to sing for us once again, Fly Like a Bird. And then after that, or while that's on, everybody's invited to go out, no problem, you want to go out and have a look, and then probably 15 minutes later we'll come back in and we'll have a drink for Cushy. He actually left a couple of dollars there for us, which was good, and I think he got that from the friends that he won all the money off with the pool and all that sort of thing. But no, that's tremendous, and we'll have a drink to Cushy when we come in. Okay. All right, sorry, afternoon tea as well.
Ever I chance to meet some old friends on the street, they wonder, how does a man get to be this way? I've always got a smiling face, anytime and any place. And every time they ask me why, I just smile and say, you've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Well, people may try to guess the secret of a happiness, but some of them never learn it's a simple thing. The secret I'm speaking of is a woman and a man in love. And the answer is in this song that I always sing. You've got to kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Kiss an angel good morning and let her know you think about her when you're gone. Kiss an angel good morning and love her like the devil when you get back home. Rain dripping off the brim of my hat, sure is cold today. Here I am walking down 66, wish she hadn't done me that way. Sleeping under a table in a roadside park, a man could wake up dead. But it sure seems warmer than it did sleeping in our king-sized bed. Is anybody going to San Antonio or Phoenix, Arizona? Any place is all right as long as I can forget I've ever known her. Wind whipping down the neck of my shirt like I ain't got nothing on. But I'd rather fight the wind and rain than what I've been fighting at home. Yonder comes a truck with the U.S. mail, people writing letters back home. Tomorrow she'll probably want me back, but I'll still be just as gone. Is anybody going to San Antonio or Phoenix, Arizona? Any place is all right as long as I can forget I've ever known her. So I feel so blue, sometimes I wanna die. And so I've got a broken heart, so what? They say that time